Hello, dollars. How are you all doing on this amazing Saturday? It is May 2nd, 2026, and it's time again for Dr. D and Friends Book Club. And so I've been doing this now for about, 2 years now. And what I like to do is pick out an artist, an author, not an artist, an author that is a woman of color, just being a person of color, okay? And I want to dive into their authorship. By me being an author myself, I just want to support other authors. I've always been an avid reader in different book clubs and everything around here in these Mobile streets. But for this one here, we decided to go even a little bit deeper. If you have been following me on YouTube, make sure you go in there and subscribe to Dr. D, okay? And go in there and look at some of the books that we've discussed. And it's all about that empowerment, encouragement, and enlightenment. So what we decided to do on this bestseller, New York bestseller, this Viola Davis, and it's called Finding Me. And it was one of Oprah's book clubs in 2022. So we're a little bit behind the ball, but nevertheless, we are here to read this book. And when I tell you it was so impactful, it's so enriched, it's so involved in understanding so much about a person's life. And then on top of that, I was able to identify with the book because I'm a 1960 baby. And Viola was born in 1965. So here we go with this. And y'all get ready because we have some amazing questions coming. We have some amazing, the regulars of the book club. Some by, you're going to see they're going to be on with our StreamYard. They're in other parts of the country here in the United States. And so y'all get ready and settle down with us and come in and just engulfed in with us. And so you have the full YouTube on, you can follow me on YouTube and you can get the full layout. We're going to be dropping excerpts and reels from it, but it's not going to be nothing like you being in the total book club session. So get ready and let's hit the ground running. Dr. D. Hello, so we're here today, and these are my guests coming in from different parts of the country. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. So why don't we start there? Tell them where you're from, and then we can move on with it. So why don't we start with Glenda first? Make sure you unmute yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you're from, and then we'll follow on with Dr. Kim. And then we'll finish up with Rashida. And if anyone else comes into the frame, then we'll go with that. All right, let's go.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Constance. My name is Belinda Jackson from Baltimore, Maryland.
My Gigi, don't leave that out. You're my Gigi. Don't leave it out.
I am your Gigi. Everybody calls me Gigi. I'm your Gigi. I'm a general contractor in residential and commercial spaces. I've been in construction for over 25 years, managing minority and women-owned business contracts. And I'm excited to be here today to talk about the book.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for taking your time. And really, I want you all to know, thank you for taking your time out. I know y'all have busy schedules, y'all ladies that's moving, and you all are coloring outside of them lines, and y'all are doing some amazing things. So we're going to move right on with Dr. Kim. Come on, Dr. Kim. I'm the queen maker. I done made me a queen with this one. Come on, Dr. Kim.
Everyone. I'm Dr. Kim. I'm coming to you today from Bowie, Maryland, and I am a physician and health advocate. And I have been enjoying this community with Dr. D, and I'm looking forward to discussing the book.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Kim, because I know you're a busy lady out there in those Baltimore streets. area, the DMV area. So thank you for taking your time again. Like I said, time is currency, and I appreciate each one of you taking your time out today. All right, come on, Miss Rashida, my niece. Come on, girl. Come on in here and tell me something.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rashida Batson, and I bring you greetings from the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. I am originally from Maryland, so Gigi and Dr. Kim are representing my beloved home state.
Yeah.
And I am a social worker by profession. I've been a social worker for over 20 years. I've worked in child welfare for most of my career, but now I'm in the juvenile justice system, and I am also a licensed therapist. And I am excited to be here with everyone today. Dr. Constance Dial is very good at putting a group of people together and have us share our enlightenment, share our viewpoints and perspectives. And I'm just so happy to be here to discuss the book finally by Viola Davis. And you all know her as Dr. Constance Dial.
Thank you.
We love her and appreciate the opportunity to be here with everyone today.
All right. Thank you all so much. So, what we're going to do, we're just going to jump in and drop some amazing nuggets. And if you don't mind, what I am going to ask of you right now, I want Glenda, you can start first. And I want you just to tell me one area of the book of Finding Me that really hit home with you, and we can start the conversation from there. And I think we're gonna just be dropping some amazing nuggets today with everyone, because I don't see how you can read this book and you couldn't identify with it being a woman of color. So let's jump right on in and share your thoughts with us, Glenda.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Dr. Kim to go first. I know she is on a tight time schedule. I love the question. I still want to answer that one, but I'm gonna let her go because she has some things that she has to get done today. Is that all right?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
That yes, that worked for me. So one of the things that stuck out to me and really resonated was that your beginnings and how you come up really shape your outlook before you even realize it in such a way that becomes interwoven and infiltrates every area of your life. And sometimes we don't realize how much poverty and having that scarcity mindset can I don't want to say prohibit, but it kind of
It affects you. It really affects you. It does.
it does. It affects you, and it makes you think that you're still operating at that level, even if and when you become, 100,000 or a millionaire. If you still have that poverty mindset, you're just never gonna think that you have enough. The scarcity mindset, I have to store, I have to stock up, and you don't really, take any risk because you're worried how am I if I invest in this or if I make this move, how am I going to survive if something goes wrong?
Right.
It becomes almost like a limiting belief. It really is. It's a limiting belief. So I love how Viola Davis, how she tackles her experience of coming from a poverty, but even even though she was successful, like she still had to go back and do the work,
Absolutely.
the shaping of her environment in order to really enjoy and understand like who she became. It's like, do you know who I am? She didn't really know who she was because she was
It's true. It's true.
in that mindset of how she grew up as a little girl. That was very remarkable to me, and I'm so happy that she was able to articulate it in such a way that so many Black women can resonate with.
Absolutely. And what you're talking about, Dr. Kim, as well, what I noticed with Viola in this book, it was, our brain is being shaped at a certain time, but we've learned later on in life now in the I don't know, the last decade or whatever, that we can build new pathways, right? But I think some things that we are coming up with, or we have to be subjected to. I don't want to be too harsh, but subjected to, because you're born in a family. You don't know what family you're going to be born in, and then your parents, for whatever reason, have their own hangups in themselves. So I love the part where she talked about that, and so that helped me to understand when you come in from trauma to trauma, right? With the mom, and then you had the dad, and the mom was, I think, pregnant at 15 or whatever. I think all of that in itself, you really had children raising children. Would you say and agree with that as well, Dr. Kim?
And when children are raising children, it gets into a whole other thing about parentification.
Come on.
Children are taking on adult responsibility as children, and because they're children, they don't realize it, and then you become an adult, and you're like, hold on, something wasn't right with that.
Absolutely. So I think with all those different dynamics, I would say, you coming up out of the ash. And for me, I have always followed Viola Davis. I have loved her work. And for her to be so brutally honest about a lot of things and sharing a lot of things, even about herself personally, I think it was amazing. So I thank you to Dr. Kim for coming in and sharing and being a part of this. So I know you may have to leave at some point, and that's okay. But thank you for giving us that insight. I really appreciate you. You started us off, got our juices flowing, and so now we're ready. We're really ready to go with this thing, right? All right, so now, Glenda, you want to jump on back in that thing and give it to me, girl? Tell me what you were thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna mention one more thing that I absolutely love that I almost forgot about. I loved how she talked about her experience as a dark skinned woman
Yes.
in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Colorism is still such a thing.
It is.
That you wouldn't think that we would still be, as Black women, we would be dealing with that right now in this day and age.
But it's still here. And it's still here.
Yes, it's still here.
And
I love how she talked about her experience and brought awareness to her experience as a dark skinned Black woman in Hollywood.
That right there really stood out to me as well, for all of you that are listening. And we're still dealing with that colorism from, colonization and all of that, the light skin or the dark skin. And because you're dark skin, you can't do this. It was even said because you were darker skin, you couldn't learn. You really wasn't given much value to, right? Other than your strength or something that you could bring on that part of it. But I was going to ask one of those questions. It's one of these questions that I have on my phone here that I was going to ask. So I'm glad that you brought that up and dropped that right when we're getting started. So later on, we're going to really get in depth with it, because that's one of my points that I put in my book that I really wanted to discuss and open up freedom for women of color, that we began to love one another and support one another and encourage one another, no matter what color that you may be. And so I appreciate you for bringing that up. That's a point there, a golden nugget that we're going to run with a little while longer. All right, Glenda, are you ready? Are you finished, Dr. Kim? Is that good? Okay, Glenda, you
Yes,
ready?
Dr. D, that's great. Thank you so much.
Love you.
Um, Thank you. So for me, that level of ownership, what it looks like you're making a decision, that your path may inform you,
Yeah.
doesn't direct
Mm-hmm.
you. And it resonated with me because in my role in construction, there are very few who look like me, being a woman, being a Black, dark skinned woman,
Number two. Mm-hmm.
and I'm in construction in a male populated field.
Number three. Mm-hmm.
For me, yeah, I had three.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
when I walk into a room, I'm not expected to be there. So I'm almost forced to
Perform at this high high functioning level that it's better for me because I had to learn in those spaces in the construction space before I felt confident enough to even start talking about it and starting to use my voice. It was about learning the lingo and learning and kind of constant journey of learning. I'm still learning how to read blueprints, how to read specs. So when I'm sitting in those rooms, I felt confident enough to have those conversations and lean into that confidence. But it didn't start with confidence. It started with learning and how she turned her experiences into fuel and not excuses.
Yeah.
That's a standard that I hold myself to.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to that point and you stop asking, "Do I belong?" Because I belong here. Okay, I don't ask anymore. But I started building those spaces by using my voice, by starting a nonprofit to introduce girls to construction.
Absolutely.
And I realized that that's what leadership looks like, and that's what true legacy is.
I totally agree. And when I was reading this book, and to go into the part about color, right? And I think during our childhood, we had different things that we had to face because I did too. And one of mine was it wasn't so much about the color, but it was also the fact that my mother didn't have. Okay, so when I went to this private school, which it did change my life, because I still, like I said, that's why I always believe exposure is everything. Because I think when I was given the opportunity to go to St. James Catholic School here in where it's in Pritchard, Alabama, and I was able to go, but I was going on what do they call, like a funding kind of thing, and everybody kind of like knew that you were on the funding because I really couldn't afford to actually be there without that. But in what I'm saying with that was I was within that I didn't have a car. My mom didn't have a car. She didn't have access to a lot of those things. So I was going to a school that had doctors. Their moms was teachers. Their parents were business owners, and I had to be in Guthrie. They was driving up in the electric 225s. Y'all probably don't remember because I'm a little bit, senior here. But electric 225s, and they was driving up in brand new cars. And back then, if you had a Cadillac, that you were on the up and up. And so I was walking to school every day. And one of the things that I was teased about a lot was I had full lips. So I was teased a lot about my lips. Now everybody want to go get Botox in the lips to get these lips. So with that being said, I had to go through that even though I was lighter color. And then the other thing was that I was poor. And then the other thing was what I did do though, I was really good at leadership and didn't know it at the time. And also I was a good athlete. I was one of the best volleyball players, one of the best track and field, and I excelled at that. And then you know what I gained? I gained all the other children's respect. So now when they see me, and I'm still friends with them, this 50 years later, because we just had our 50th class reunion from St. James graduation 50 years ago in 2025. And what they all come and tell me, and they say to me, Glenda, and all of you that are watching, they say, you know what, Constance, you was our mama. You was always telling us what to do, and we believed everything you was telling us. I'm like, girl, y'all just don't know. I didn't know half the time what I was saying, but I was a leader then. But I earned their respect through being a great friend, because I am a great friend, a listener, and I wanted everybody to win. So I was always rallying with the troops. We can do it. We can beat them. We can do this. We can do that. And we really excelled in that. So I totally agree with that with you, with what you're saying, Glenda. So this book really opened up and took me way back, and it's like I was right there with Viola. And I read the book, and also I did the Audible, and to hear her voice and her just speaking really helped me to get into the scenery, because I'm one of the ones that will transform myself from the book, and I'm actually in that scene. So even though that's the way I read, so I can actually just visualize exactly what she was talking about. But the book is dope, y'all. The book is dope. I don't think it's a black woman of color that can sit and read this book and don't say, "Hey, I can identify with this." And then we're still in 2026, like Dr. Kim brought up, and we're still dealing with colorism. Okay, so I think we're going to be probably on that for a good little while. But Glenda, thank you as well for taking out your time and sharing. And then, too, by you being of a darker skin. So when I think about things like that, I thought about that every time I went through it and she was bringing it up, and how she still had to fight, even in Hollywood, with black producers and whatnot, that they wouldn't even, uh, pick her for to be in a show. Okay, and I thank you all for that. All right, we got, was there anything else, Glenda, that you want to add to that? Let me make sure I do that. Is there anything else you want to add?
I am complete. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Rashida, come on with it, girl. Give me something good. How are you in those Atlanta streets?
I'm doing well. I hope everyone else is as well. I absolutely love this book. No matter what phase you are in life, I believe that you can identify with something in this book. And what stood out for me, which is where I am right now, the difference between achievement and alignment. The chapter that really resonated with me was a chapter when she talked about how she was rising in her career, and as she rose in her career, her salary grew. And she felt the responsibility to reach back and to help out and to do all that she could to make sure that not only she was comfortable, but her family was comfortable as well. Yes. And I read the book via Audible, and I just loved her tone. I loved her expression, and she painted the picture as if we were right there with her. Absolutely. Yeah. And that resonated with me because I have been that person in my family as I have grown in my career and as my salary. Come on. Now the responsibility to show up financially sometimes when I wasn't even asked. Come on. Now what I'm learning as I continue to grow, as I continue to make sure that I'm aligning with where I am in my life, I'm realizing that my money can't go everywhere. And it can't align with everything. And Viola talked about in the book that, in the beginning, it was $20. And $20, every time you call, it's $100. Yes. I get you $300 for the groceries, and then in 3 days, it's gone. Come on. But I still have things on my end that I need to take care of, and you don't realize I'm making these sacrifices for you to make sure that you're not left behind. And so I really feel like this book teaches you that these life lessons of unlearning continues to happen whether you are at the lower totem pole of your career or if you are at the climax of your career. You within yourself have to be aligned with your goals, your vision, your destiny, because if you're not, then other people will take on what it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what would, Rashida, what would, excuse me just for a second. I want you to pause because you're dropping so many, prominent, questions. And I want you to go in a little bit in detail with that, because what happens is that we become something to others. And we feel like we got to run back in and save everybody, you know, once we have what they would call this, they counting your money. And like she said, they didn't even know what all she had to pay, but it was making more than what they were making. And they had just assumed that she just had all this money just flowing out of her. But she said, by the time I paid my, her agent, by the time she paid taxes, by the time she did all of that, she only had 2,200 left. But then what I loved about what she said too was she had to get to a point to say this never was going to end. It was going to keep escalating. So you have to make a decision on how you're going to be able to sustain it, because when they are all pulling on you like that, and I have known this to be in the community of people of color, that it's just an entitlement. And I want you to elaborate a little bit on that entitlement part. And you have worked hard, you have saved, you have done without, and they just act like you arrived overnight. Now, I'm not saying this for everybody, because I know this is going to be all over YouTube and everywhere and all on my social media platforms. I'm not saying that happens to every family, but it does happen to a lot. And the assumption is, if you make it, that you are supposed to go back in and get everybody. But that's impossible, and that's a task that is unreasonable, sustainable, and that's what she said in the book. But give me a little bit on that as well, Rashida.
You're absolutely right. And I can identify with all of what you just shared. And just to give you a little bit of a more specific example, what I have learned to do now, when family members or friends or associates come to me and they have this financial issue or problem that they feel as if I can solve for them, uh, because I'm clear about where I am. And first, you have to be clear. You have to do your own self work first.
Come on. Mm-hmm.
And if you've not done that, then you will continue to fall into the cycle of being the rescuer, the savior, and feel as if you are obligated to show up financially for people
That
who use
part.
your money as if it is a toilet. You're not getting a return on your investment because you, one, are not clear. You've not asked any questions. And I know I certainly at the beginning was not asking any questions. You know, I didn't want them to be cold.
You were just sitting in the money, right? You were just sitting in the money like she did. She just started doing the things, and then she had to think. Viola said, I had to think. She had to think, like, what am I doing, right? So I think we all have gotten caught up in doing it, because I'm guilty of it, and I've just recently, I mean seriously recently, just decided that that's not my portion, and I can no longer continue to do that. And I had to admit it was a lot of guilt that I felt, you know, and then sometimes it can even be your guilt with your success. Okay? And I experienced that. Okay, so you have your guilt with the success, and you wanting to help everybody because that's who I am. And then you're trying to figure it all out at the same time, but you cannot, you can't sustain it. And I will go with a cliche saying, and everybody said, if you want to teach somebody how to eat, then you teach them how to fish. So in that sense, that's how I began to move forward. Now, I don't mind helping you, but we got to find out a way how this is going to help you to get better, not to keep starting with something that's going to be every month. But I want to give you tools that you can somehow be able to rise up yourself, and now you can go and fish and feed your own self, and it won't be me having to do it all the time, right? So did you find yourself doing that as well, Rashida?
I did. I began to share the tools and resources that I had with those people. And some you will find will take advantage of the resources and they will do the necessary work, and they will have the same experience that you had.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can find that some people will not, because they're not ready. And
Mm-hmm.
in those situations, you have to be clear. And if they're not ready, then you have to give space and
Mm-hmm.
time and opportunity for them to learn the lesson from experience.
Absolutely.
Everyone learns instruction. Some people learn through experience.
Yeah.
People. I really believe that we handicap people when we don't allow them to walk that process out into how they learn and how they are able to um, draw from their life experience.
Absolutely.
You tell me, Rashida, X, Y, and Z, this is going to be the best route for you, then I'm going to do the best that I can to follow that instruction. I wasn't the little child growing up that had to get a spanking. I could see somebody else get a spanking.
Me too. I didn't have to feel that, baby. If when my mother said she was gonna do something, I knew she was gonna do it. I didn't care what my brother and them was saying. Brother and sister was saying, I'm not finna get. Oh no. When she said she was gonna do it, I didn't have to get a whooping. I just saw you getting one, and I didn't need to go that route. You know, I learned from that. I didn't have to get that whooping. You're right on that. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So I just really feel like this book really just showed us how you can be on any level when it comes to socioeconomic status,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
your background and your past childhood trauma. It could all look different for each one of us, but at the end of the day, we are still unlearning many of the things that we grew up with that we now understand to be trauma.
True.
And that is a
True.
lifelong experience.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong
Yeah.
journey of unlearning, of growing, and making decisions that are best for you as you continue to walk out your individual journey. So I just applaud Viola Davis for standing in her truth, just being so vulnerable
Yes.
and
Yes.
very practical in telling us how she found herself and is still finding herself.
That's exactly what she said. Yeah. She's still finding herself. So I really enjoyed that. So I thank you again too, Rashida. Is that probably wraps it up for you as well. And like I said, thank you all again for taking your time. And so I know now I have my sage friend, the one and only Miss Denise Henry. Girl, come on in here, girl. Come on in here. I love you. I love you.
Jackie, I love you too. I love all this, and I am so honored to be known among you all. You are very powerful, intelligent, and becoming women, and I'm honored to be named among you. Mumbiel, that's my family. I've adopted all of you,
Yes.
and of course, all of us love, but constant grace through our lives. In her story, I loved how she had blessed me and really been an example of a phenomenal woman.
Thank you.
And so, one of the things that I would be to really talk about
Mm-hmm.
as life is concerned, and which I think many of us can we can actually declare that we were breaking generational curse
Ah, that's good. Mm-hmm. That's good.
because my old age, her actual life and her journey of becoming and finding herself landed her in the position of breaking generational cycles.
Yes, she did.
And
Mm-hmm.
many of us in our lives right now are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll come to the realization that what was is not what we want to be, to continue to be the current state.
Mm-hmm.
We come out of that determination, world really a lot of courage. And a lot of times, can what could be risky, we launch out and use something different than what
Uh-huh.
everyone else has done. And in that, we are breaking the cycle. And I believe that Viola was fully, she made conscious decisions
She did.
in poverty, made decisions to end poverty, the abuse, even her own silence and her own. And on her journey, I think she took that trauma and she turned it into something and the poverty and she turned it into something that was really life changing for her.
Absolutely.
Because in decisions, I don't even think she really realized what she was doing as she was finding herself becoming Viola. Yeah. So I think another part of her journey that really stuck out with me was her brutal honesty about her and who she was, how she walked, she came from. Her, I don't think that that point in her life she determined that even though all it are truthfully, I can be honest about this.
Right.
And in my honesty, I can really become uh I think honest with who I am. And I think that honesty in who she was helped her in her acting career. Because I believe, and she even quoted that, acting and becoming who she was and in her journey, that being honest with herself and acting from real life experiences,
Uh huh.
not so much imitating, but actually living it out on stage, even film, who she actually was. And she lives her experiences. God knows came out on the screen. We definitely came out in this world.
It did. It really did. It really did. And let me say this to you as well, Denise. I think when she decided that, and she said most of her monologue and her, when she was auditioning, she was actually pulling from those emotions and to be able to get out and read. And I think she also did a reading from Cicely Tyson and a couple of others. And Celie was one of them that she did as well. And it was part of her auditioning. I think as she was coming along, she really didn't, she said she didn't really know exactly all that she was doing, but all the time she was breaking glass ceilings, and she really didn't know all of that. And what you're saying, I totally agree with you with that. I just wanted to comment on that because I truly think she was learning as she was going, and then what she had been through. I think all of us, as what we've been through, has caused us to become who we are. And then we kind of realize at a certain point, Denise, we realize that we no longer need a couple of those things, because I've had to throw some things out of my tool shed that my little toolbox that I was carrying because they no longer fit. And I talk about that a lot of times in conversation or even with my husband. I would say, Michael, that was good for then, but that don't work now. And so that's why I think we have to stay on a continual becoming and finding ourselves. And I think Viola really opened that up for all of us. It doesn't matter of age or whatever. I think we're still becoming, because if you're on a learning trend, you're going to stay on that learning trend. Okay. And you're always open. And I said, I always want to be pliable. I always want to be teachable, because everybody's not teachable. I want to be teachable because I don't want to get stagnated into one position or one part of myself, because I have evolved. And I think anything that is not growing, then it's stagnated and it has no purpose. So I think she just really kept going without even really knowing. But at the point that she learned, though, she began to do the work. And that's what I saw throughout the book. Mm-hmm.
I believe that she kept redefining herself as she was coming to know herself. She kept redefining herself. And I think for me, what I took from that is that we have to define ourselves and who we are before the world defines us.
That's where I want you to come to. Uh-huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
right, and then once we stand in our truth, then
Mm-hmm.
we can live out from that, and we can live from that, and I believe that people will see that we claim our story, and whatever our
Come
story,
on.
we define ourselves as that, but
That's right.
we continue to change, and we continue to tweak, and we continue to grow.
Like you said, stay in a malleable and a growing state so that we don't become stagnant and that we're always open to learn new things and learn a way of being. And I think that even in growing,
Mm-hmm.
Viola, I remember she mentioned this during an interview, or I must have heard this somewhere because I've really been following her IQ.
Yes.
She did an interview with Will Smith, and she realized
Yes.
thought of it
Mm-hmm.
curious as a child really still alive in her. And so when she came to that realization, she started to do the work.
She
And
did.
so once she started to do the work, I believe that that's when she started to really define herself, know herself, and come more into, I believe, who she was called to be.
Absolutely.
And I believe acting, it was an escape, but it was also a revelation to her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like she could escape her acting, come in one, and do anything. But I think at the same time, she realized, wait a minute,
Hmm.
I can become one and I can.
That's correct.
Yes. And so in her finding herself and becoming herself, she was brutally honest with who she was. She owned her story. I think she pulled from her experiences. And the end product of that was she still becoming Nita's maker and a phenomenal, amazing actor.
She is. I mean, she's just captivating. When she played in Woman King, girl, that right there, because and that took me to Africa. Okay, and that is a true African tribe. It existed. It's not made up. None of that. But I tell you, that part right there, with her even taking her first trip to Africa, and I know when I took my first trip to Africa in 2008. It was like I was home. So I could really relate to that, and it made me just feel a certain type of way from my first time going to Africa. I knew that I had made it home. And anybody that's looking at this, I'm saying to you, if you have the opportunity, if you have the wherewithal, you need to travel to Africa. I tell any African woman of color, man of color, you need to go to Africa. And once you go, you'll get it. And you know, me and you experienced that trip when I led that team in 2024 and the impact it had on you as well. I think that was the beginning of Viola finding herself totally in that part. And she came back to the United States of Americas a whole different female, a whole different woman, and even more powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's what a trip to Africa will do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will show you, well, one thing, for me, it was such a spiritual connection.
My Lord.
And that
Mm-hmm.
when I went with, that was my second trip. And I still had the same, spiritual connection and feeling of pride. And it makes you realize that you are actually unique and
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
and this is what I often tell my grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
that enslaved people were not slaves. I said enslaved people were doctors, they were
Mm-hmm.
they were engineers, they were lawyers, they were brilliant people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I let them know we did not bring nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We came from everything. And in my opinion, we are the original civilization. So all
Absolutely.
now it's
Absolutely.
so when you go, you learn and you plant your feet there, and you see people that look like you, and how and the richness, heritage, and our lineage, it just sits different. And for me, it will need to really realize once I came back to America, I was different,
Yeah.
and I was grateful.
Yeah.
Experience saying how or somehow that innately and spiritually, possibly, just it made your essence of your being when you were in Africa. I think that's what
Absolutely.
and it's happening to look a bit though there.
Absolutely. I tell you, it's an amazing book. It was an amazing read, and I'm glad that I found it. And I know I discussed it with you a couple of times, that I was thinking about bringing the book club to Dr. D and Friends book reading. And we're just excited to be able to read another woman of color book, because those are only, I only go with authors that people of color and that I really can learn from. And this book is on my list of another way of opening and giving exposure and enlightenment for other women, that we can come and grow together and then shift some things for the younger generation that's coming behind us, right? So Denise, I thank you so much for taking this time and coming and hanging out with me. And tell my brother top of the morning, and I miss brother Alan. I miss him. And Denise's husband, by the way, you all, is from Trinidad, and I love some Alan. I love me some brother Alan, and they are just an amazing couple there. And I'm so glad that we found each other. And we'll be hanging out soon, and I'll be coming to them Atlanta streets to hang out with you. So thank you for giving me your time today.
You say, can I say?
Sure, sure, yeah.
Well, all of us as women, and in particular, when Black women, I think that we have to begin to realize our greatness, and it's on whatever level that it is, and in whatever sphere that we circulate. I think we have to begin to realize our greatness. And once we realize how great we are, because we have such a wonderful and great influence on those that are in our sphere, think about how great you are. If you remove yourself from the lives of many, what would their lives look like?
Wow.
And so remember that we're great. We're talking about Viola Davis, but Viola wasn't always Viola Davis, so the magnificent actor that she is. She started somewhere, and we all start story somewhere. But we hope you remember our greatness on whatever level we are, and just and walk in that and carry it with us wherever we go.
I totally agree. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I love you to life, my sage friend. I'll be talking to you soon. And again, thank you for giving me your time today.
Absolutely. And thank you. I love you.
Love you.